Today we are moving from this to this. Our vehicle is an Audi A7 C7. It's equipped with the 3.0T supercharged engine. Basically, that's the CGWD. The name of the vehicle is 𝐵atMobile on Instagram and on Twitter. So while you're watching the video, kindly go look for the car, follow up on it. You'll see where we were at versus where we are heading to. So this is the stock heat exchanger. It's what on the turbo cars is known as an intercooler. The stock one was bent, as you can see. It's not straight. It actually has a kink that was the result of a road incident, just slight. So this heat exchanger is basically supposed to end up sitting behind this crash bar. So what happens for the crash bar, we end up having to create some holes here. I think if we can get a 5x zoom, you can see the holes created, and these will end up being the mounting points for the brackets that go into the cooler, and they're basically just around 10 millimeters. So what happens, you get your stock crash bar, you mark, do some measurements, ensure at least it's centered, then you create the drill holes. So what happens, the drill holes basically end up sitting like so, like this. So the heat exchanger will be here. If we are to invert that, that will end up sitting like so. So you can see on this side you have this, same to the other side. And what happens, via this you can be able to position whether you want the intercooler, the heat exchanger to go higher, to sit higher or lower. The lower you sit, obviously the higher the risk of road incidents easily kinking your intercooler. The higher you sit, slightly the better for you, because you may also be in line to catch more air, but also you need to end up positioning it so that it's not too high, otherwise it will end up having conflicts with some of the factory covers that are around the bonnet lock. So this is how it sits. We'll actually turn this around for you so that you can see. And this is where it sits here. If we could get a 5x zoom, I believe you'll be able to see it way better. So this comes and sits here, like so. Then you fasten it onto the car. So this heat exchanger basically does have a very similar design to the stock one. And what happens, you get mounting points that you end up using based on how you end up, based on the vehicle that you have. If we are to show you, because this is how the stock one is, you'll be able to see that where the coolant hose there is the same, and here also it's still maintained. So we'll put it onto the car. Pause. So here's how the heat exchanger is mounted, or rather after being mounted. You can see the crash bar is already fitted, and this is not a test fit, it's actually bolted on. You can see here. Cameraman will have to zoom or move closer for you to see. So you have the bolts here in place. You have the mounted heat exchanger. And what we did, we said we just mount it a bit low to match the placement position of the hoses. Then in case there'll be a need to lift it up further, we will analyze. The ambient temperature sensor is also mounted, as you can see, and its routing is here, all 3 clips. So this is basically what you should expect to see. You typically end up being supplied, you can come closer, should typically end up being supplied with this hose here. And if you look at it, I think it's actually labeled, not too sure if you can see it now. No, you won't be able to see it, but yeah. We had cut it, we had cut it just a bit so that it could fit, because they supply you with a longer hose that should be adjusted based on how your car is. So yeah, this is what you see is the bleeder screw. While you're filling it up and bleeding it and it's running, that's what you should end up opening, plus one of the other two on the supercharger in case you end up with a lot of airlock. So for us, for example, we'll actually replace what is here on the supercharger. The supercharger has these two bleeder screws. So you can see one here. This one is very visible. There you go. And this is the other one. So for us, we'll be replacing them with aftermarket ones that are not made of plastic as the stock ones are, because the ones made out of plastic, typically people end up stripping the threads on the head very easily. So in a case whereby you have a crew with several hands on the car, you end up finding that maybe someone ended up stripping it and it becomes very difficult to remove it. So just in case someone will ever find themselves in a situation whereby they need to use assistance of an offsite crew, it is easier once those bleeder screws are not made out of plastic, so that it will be very hard for whoever is working on it to end up stripping them. So this is our final result. As you can see, we will update you once the bumper is on, so that probably you can see how it looks through the bumper. Though from what we observed, it's very hard to see anything. Yeah, we will come back to you after we're done. This is how the stock cooler typically will sit. You'll find it positioned and here. So it will typically sit like so. And if you observe here, you'll notice that it typically sits right under the AC condenser location. So it was basically a design just to avoid a lot of conflict of interest, whereby the radiator is very blocked by the AC condenser, which is trying to receive the same air that this is receiving. So it's a bit of a balance. Now for us, what we do, we replace this cooler with this one. And what happens, this cooler ends up sitting here like so. Yeah. So you'll find that if you do center this correctly, when you come and you mount the crash bar, it will end up sitting like this. Yeah. And when it sits like this, you'll notice when it sits like this, you'll notice that there is some bit of space between these two. But then your heat exchanger will be mounted onto the points that you set on the crash bar, and the crash bar will sit flush. So with this, there is basically no need to cut out the crash bar on the A7, which ensures that all your stock safety features, in as far as the crash bar is concerned, are still held in place or are still left in place. So the integrity of the crash bar basically ends up being maintained to the maximum. On other upgrades of these heat exchangers, you find that some typically needs to cut the crash bar from here till here, maybe to accommodate that the cooler is larger. So one of the benefits that we actually expected out of the A7 is this. So that's it. We'll probably show you images of the heat exchanger once it's mounted. And yeah, if you also want to see the difference between this versus what was there, you'll see it like so, because this was the stock cooler. So it's basically wider, but it's shorter. So you have less air that it can catch, and you also have slightly lower fluid capacity, which results in a lower thermal capacity. So yeah, that's it for now. We'll catch you on the next one. All right, so now we've gotten to the part whereby we replace the stock plastic bleeder screws for I believe they are aluminum bleeder screw with a different head type. So for this, you typically need people tend to strip them because you'll try use a flat screwdriver and you'll find that it won't work. For example, for us, this side we found it already stripped as it is, and using the correct tool now is going to be a very huge hassle. So for this side, you use a Phillips number 3 screwdriver, and as you can see, the moment you start opening it up, you'll find that it comes right out without any issue. But the moment you try use a flat screwdriver, which we can actually demonstrate for you just for the sake of science. Okay, so let's close this up here using the same, or rather using the correct tool. So now we've tightened it. If we are to try open this using a screwdriver, you'll notice it just spins out. And we won't do this too much because otherwise we lose the threads on this, but you can see what happens. This is flat, this is not. So that's the consequence of using the wrong tools. So for us, we'll try salvage the situation before it goes to haywire. You can see now, at least, we can open it up. So that side already was messed up, so we'll figure out how to remove it. But as you can see, yeah, it's out finally. So you can see some coolant there. So this is actually a coolant bleeder hose for the supercharger because it has, you know, it has galleries through which the coolant flows so that it helps with cooling. So we'll show you our replacements just now. Okay, so for this part, you'll basically need a 7mm socket. So what you're replacing with has a different head. So it's significantly harder to strip this because it's harder for someone to mix up this with this. This is actually the difference, as you can see here. So on this, this is what you end up stripping and you can't even access the inside. But this for us is going to be very, very easy to use. So we'll just place it at least onto the hole, and we start screwing it in slowly. And you're supposed to tighten this to 3 Newton meters maximum, so it's basically supposed to be just hand tight. And the reason for that is because it has an O-ring, number 1, that they are avoiding getting messed up. So you can see it here. So you don't really need to over tighten, just because these are sold by 034 Motorsports. As you can see, it's a bleeder screw kit for the supercharger. Yeah, as for example, it was made in 2024, 25th of November. So this side is done. You can compare it with that side. We'll have a hard time recording that side, but because we've already shown you this side, then you'll end up leaving us to it. So basically what we are doing, we started the bleeding just a bit. For now we're using gravity, but I'm ready to use we're ready to use the coolant, the diagnostics to bleed it. So if you notice, while water is being put there, which is distilled water, it comes in through here. So we are basically just trying to increase our fill up of the capacity for the coolant system. So we also have one one bleeder screw that we already did here. Then we have the one that we mentioned had failed. It's here. So what we intend to use is that for this gallery, just to supplement this. However, there's a way you can use this, and already as it is, it gets to be good enough. So we'll see how far we get through with this. We've been using distilled water for now. Then we'll now start the bleeding, and then we see how far we get without having to use that one, but we'll use that one as an auxiliary one. So that's basically us triggering the coolant draining electronically. We already did the manual and closed off the port here. So I believe the car can run for a while, then we'll review.